We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you today. Not tonight. We're getting close tonight. It's 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Central Time in the great state of Louisiana. The absolutely amazing state of Louisiana. And it's a great day to be alive, a great day for some LSU baseball. It's a great spring day. Grass being cut outside, even though it's a little cold. Got some weed eating done today. Grass being cut. LSU baseball sweeping Bethune-Cookman. More on Will Wade and LSU football, though. Even though it's a great day, we still got to talk about some of the other stuff, though. See, it was started off so good, and then Will Wade had to come in here and screw it up. Just joking. But nevertheless, we do have a lot we got to touch on. I will get to Ruffino's rants. I really ticked off some people today on Facebook and Twitter. I gave what I thought about some of the reports about Deshaun Watson possibly going to the New Orleans Saints, which did not make a lot of fans happy, what I had to say in reference to Will Wade and Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm going to defend my point here in this Ruffino's rants of why I described the Deshaun Watson case and Will Wade. Now, you're right. They're not mutually exclusive when it comes to what both of them had done or did not do, rather. But I will tell you from a fan perspective of what I was trying to get at, and from the media perspective of what I was trying to get at. We will hit that in the Ruffino's rants, maybe the lead off. And then we'll talk about Will Wade and LSU football. And to cap it off today, I will get to LSU football recruiting. What I'm hearing from this weekend, big LSU football recruiting weekend. I'm hearing some really, really good things. Let's see if LSU can close here and battle it out for guys like Tyler Steen and others. We will touch on that as well. Hashtag Ask Blake. I just threw it in there. You have any questions, you have any thoughts, hit us inside the Rudy Crew chat. Hashtag Ask Blake, and we'll get to as many questions today as we can. Fair enough? Fair enough. Okay. See, Chili asked it right off the top. Hashtag Ask Blake, latest on Tyler Steen. We will get to that. I promise you we will get to that. Penn Jones says, hoping your grandmother's doing better. Thank you all for all of the kind words and prayers. She's about the same today. Carl the Cat Dunn also saying the same. Thank you all. I really appreciate that. Seriously, I really, really do appreciate that. Long couple of days for my dad. But, you know, we're you know, let's hope she pulls through. Father Matthew Abear says, if we hit the ball where it's pitched like we did today, we can suffocate SEC pitching. I completely agree with Father Abear. Completely agree with that. As LSU does sweep, if you're just joining us and you missed today's game, LSU does sweep Bethune-Cookman. And really good pitching day, too. Mikael Hilliard did really well, too. Got through the lineup a couple of times and looked pretty dominant through the entire game. So good to see Mikael Hilliard get some rest. And then come back and firing off on all cylinders. Chris English says, yes, I'd love to have Watson in the black and gold. Who dat? Okay, so we'll probably start off there. Then I'll get to the Will Wade stuff very quickly. So it is a big news day the last couple of days, and we'll touch on all of it. Absolutely. All right, everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. I just really want everybody to do us a favor by hitting the like button. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button. You're on Facebook, hit the like button. Share to some your own social media pages. Share to some Facebook groups. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And if you're on Twitter, hit the retweet. If you're listening to us on the other podcast platform, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe there as well. We're about 50 followers away from 8,000 on Twitter. Do us a favor by following us on Twitter if you don't do so already. We do put a lot of content on Twitter there as well. We do put a lot of content in there. All right, let's pay some bills around this thing, and then we'll get started. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and betonline.ag. Guys, with over 65 years of experience, nobody's better equipped to servicing your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sits you on by. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, March Madness is here. Tournament season literally is here. If you missed it, it looks like LSU, from some people since Will Wade has been fired, may even get a number 5 seed, believe it or not. How crazy is that? That is some predictions from some people. But all of March Madness, you can go over to BetOnline today for all of those bets. Sign up by using the Believe promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV, and you'll get 50% off your first welcome deposit. Again, that's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. The Golden Boot Pod, who I believe will be doing their episode tonight and then posting their podcast tomorrow, says, stay strong, brother. We got you back. I appreciate that. Gary Donovan, what's up, Gary? He also sent some kind words earlier. He asked about how my grandma's doing. About the same. Not really a lot has changed right now. So thank you for all the prayers, and she's fighting strong. She's fighting strong. All right, let's get into it. I'll start this off with the Ruffino's rants. And I know that this is going to make some people mad. And I know that people are already upset with me, but let me explain. If you missed it today, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, I came out with a comment because I saw a lot of fans and a lot of media, and I'm going to talk on both fans and both media perspectives. But I did see a lot of media and fans talking about Deshaun Watson after Ian Rappaport reported today that Deshaun Watson is likely to get an interview or talk to the Saints about a possible trade to New Orleans for their quarterback position. So if you missed it, here was what I saw. I saw a lot of people sticking up for Will Wade, even though we found out that he is guilty. I say guilty, but I shouldn't say guilty yet. Even though the NCAA provided significant and sufficient amount of proof of what he did, transcripts, texts, money transfers, bribery. Some would even say if the FBI was investigating him for embezzlement, people still want him as the head coach of LSU. Some people still want him around the program. Now, we turn to Deshaun Watson, and if you missed it, Deshaun Watson was cleared. Now, I should have clarified what I meant by innocent earlier, but I'm going to clarify that here. So if you missed it, I said the following. So let me get this straight. Deshaun Watson can be proven innocent or cleared of all wrongdoing. Now, let me stop right there. I don't want to fight over semantics about the innocent part. Guilty until proven innocent. But no evidence was found, but we as fans don't want him as our quarterback in New Orleans, but we do have proof on Will Wade of wrongdoings, but we want him as our head coach, seriously asking to talk all of this through. Well, it sent people through a tizzy. It pissed a lot of people off, which I kind of understand, but was looking for open debate. But I didn't really get what I was looking for with that. Now, I should have known better. I've been doing this for a while. I should have known better. But I will send you the link, and I might even tweet the link out of what's going on with Deshaun Watson, what went on with Deshaun Watson, and why Deshaun Watson was cleared of the wrongdoing. Guys, it's I don't want to say it's really easy, but the district attorney and indicting someone in a grand jury to potentially bring charges, we have seen can be pretty simple. Actually, very simple, especially with the amount of counts that Deshaun Watson was facing. In the link that I read in the history of what's going on with the Deshaun Watson case, there were multiple accusers saying that Deshaun Watson tried to cover up and tried to impede the investigation, a lot like Will Wade did with the NCAA, which he tried to and was not successful, by paying off accusers, which Deshaun Watson, through his attorney, said that they provided over thousands and thousands of documents and evidence to the grand jury showing that Deshaun Watson did not try to cover things up. There's where your connection is with Will Wade. Will Wade did commit bribery. Now, in reference to the exact counts and exact things of sexual assault, which I don't want to talk about, versus paying players, I know it's completely different. Guys, I'm not an idiot. I'm not an imbecile. But at what point of Deshaun Watson being cleared through the criminal justice system, why in the court of public opinion, dude, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean he wasn't cleared through the court system. Meanwhile, you don't want him as your quarterback. However, you come up in Twitter spaces, you come up in Twitter, you come up in Facebook and defend Will Wade about him being your next or still remaining as your head coach at LSU. I know that they're completely different cases. But one guy was provided evidence against in Will Wade, and there was no evidence provided for Deshaun Watson. Well, Blake, that does not mean that Deshaun Watson is innocent. And let me clarify. I was not saying that Deshaun Watson was innocent. I should have reclarified that. I should have said cleared of all charges. I will take my lump on that one. But at what point does someone, a district attorney that tried to file a criminal suit against Deshaun Watson, and then he comes out and says he has no burden of proof, do we have to sit here and say, hey, can the man move on with his life? When this happens, whether it be a man, whether it be a woman, white or black, when someone is not found guilty in a court of law in our country, it's innocent until proven guilty. It's not guilty, and you need to provide me documents of your innocence, which, by the way, Deshaun Watson did. I'm going to take a lot of heat behind this one, guys. I'm going to take a lot of heat behind this one. The point that I'm trying to make in all of this is this. You have your media, the media that covers things for you and LSU, who are still going out there to some extent defending Will Wade, even though we do have the proof, but yet they bring their Twitter handles out there and say Deshaun Watson does not deserve to be the quarterback at LSU. Now, I'm just going to say this. Jake, I read your comment. I'm not putting it up here. But he said Wade paid athletes. Deshaun did something much worse. Most big-time programs do what Wade did. I wouldn't compare. However, I do want Watson. I also want Wade. You can't say that he damn near did something when they don't have proof. Someone come in here and provide me proof of what Deshaun Watson did, because every time I ask you, you can't provide diddly squat. I am for justice playing out. Now, you want to call me political. This isn't political. This has to do with the New Orleans Saints, who we cover. This has to do with LSU, who we cover. And the same media that runs out the bullshit and trash that you listen to and read every day, because it's bullshit. Trash water, Bourbon Street, St. Patty's Day juice in a dumpster is what they're doing out there to you right now. So someone can be proven innocent or cleared of all charges. What else does Deshaun Watson have to do? Now, we're going to get to this Will Wade stuff because I understand that I'm probably pissing a lot of people off. I really don't care on this one. But facts don't get, I say, as the old saying goes, as my grandfather said from when I was a little boy until right now, facts do not care about your opinions or your feelings. That goes to myself. That goes to all of us. Get pissed off if you want. I don't care. What does he have to do to clear his name? Huh? You also have 18 other people that came out, by the way, that work with the same places that Deshaun Watson used, who said that they never experienced what some of these women alleged. But you don't want him to be the quarterback. But you want Will Wade. Do you know how stupid you sound? Never mind. Mike McMahon says, let's get to a couple of these comments. Then I'm going to get a little bit more into Will Wade about what went down. I'll probably pull some of the curtain back. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share. I'm going to pull a little bit of the curtain back and tell you what I'm hearing around LSU in reference to how they made this decision. But Mike McMahon says Will Wade cheated and has put the entire LSU athletic department in serious jeopardy. But we got in a debate last night with a guy who's a Will Wade supporter. He called it Will Wade Athletics is what his Twitter handle is. And he was debating me saying that I have no burden of proof of Will Wade. And I said, did you read the notice of allegations? And he said, no. He said, no. Newsflash, you have to read the notice of allegations before you know what you're talking about. Jason Brumfield says conspiracy in sports. I like these. We're going to do this. Everybody sent me this and said that they absolutely love it. So I got like 20 messages yesterday when we did this conspiracy in sports. We're going to do it. We're going to add it. We'll add it tomorrow. But Jason Brumfield says conspiracy in sports. Did the Texans frame Watson for requesting a trade? See, so Jason, you bring up a good point. So how long did we go saying Dick Vitale and Pat Forty was bringing up a conspiracy theory and baseless, no evidence against Will Wade? And it happened immediately after he requested a trade from the Houston Texans. Meanwhile, I mean, look, he requested for a trade, and then all this kind of started happening, right? And then all of a sudden, we still say Pat Forty was wrong. Now he is sleazy. Pat Forty is a sleazy little dirtbag. Okay, and he's done things and he's continuously doing things. But Dick Vitale has not said one word. Dick Vitale has not been rude, cruel, ruthless. Dick Vitale was reporting what he heard. But we never believed him. Wild, isn't it? Josh Forbes says, I turn it on and Blake is shouting, I don't care. Jake Nola says, I want Watson as a QB. I was just trying to say that the fans wanting to keep Wade probably don't care too much about paying the athletes. Guys, look, listen. Can we stop with the pain of the athletes thing? I get that was a part of it. I get that that's a part of it. Okay. Guys, if Will Wade would have just paid athletes, he probably would have got just a 1-year show cause, And I don't know if Will Wade would. I don't know if Scott would have necessarily fired him. Maybe he would have. Maybe he would have. But Jake, this goes so much deeper with Will Wade. Now, I'll get to more of these comments, but talking to people around the program, talking to people around LSU, it was the lack of Will Wade. It was the lack of Will Wade wanting to help LSU in any of this. Guys, I'm hearing from people around LSU that Will Wade would pout and moan and bitch and complain about he was not going to do anything. He was not going to turn over evidence. He was not going to do this. He was not going to do that. And the NCAA and the IARP and the FBI went after Will Wade and they got him. Want to talk? And here's another thing. Lack of institutional control. This isn't just one sport here. This isn't just paying players. The bribery charge, the cover-up, the misleading of information. Guys, they told him what he did and where he did it through, and they found out that he was lying to them multiple times, over 400 times per the NOA. He perjured himself to some extent. And everybody's saying that NIL, get this through your head right now. Name, image, and likeness is not a coach paying a player. Coach, it is still illegal in today's college athletics for coaches to pay players. It's illegal. You can't do it. NIL doesn't mean, it means that me, who is in the NIL game as a business in an LLC, can go out there and strike NIL deals with athletes all across the country if I deem it so. That's a baseless argument. It's a baseless argument. Very quickly, and then I'll get to these comments. The fact that Will Wade would not help the athletic department, to help them clear all of this up is the biggest reason of why Scott Woodward would not go out and fight for him. That is some sourcing that I'm picking up right now. And when William Tate came in, he goes, "Oh, you want to do that?" We saw the level of what LSU will go to help out a program when you're paying over $200 million in restitution to Our Lady of the Lake. You talk about conspiracy in sports. They just now are paying $200 million to Our Lady of the Lake. That doesn't strike anybody. That doesn't ring a bell for anybody. That doesn't throw up some red flags about, damn, why are you just doing that? And then 85 million of that money is going to, or 64 million, I might add. Excuse me, not 85 million. So I was wrong yesterday. I went back and checked my notes. 64 million of that is going to LSU athletics. And you're giving up restitution. Will Wade buried his own grave. And every media member in this market that defended Will Wade for as long as they had, even and to myself included, in reference to calling out and saying, we need more proof. How many times did we come on this show and talk about due process? Do you really believe Pete Thamel and Pat Forty ran stuff like that out there without having proof? I am hearing some stuff around LSU football, man. I think LSU football is going to be fine. Again, I welcome, if I'm wrong on that one, you're welcome to tell me how wrong I am the day comes that LSU gets popped with anything harder than maybe another little slap on the wrist. Other than that, I'm hearing they're fine. Craig Schilling says, conspiracy in sports. Nick Saban runs the SEC office and Bama gets all favorable officiating calls because wait, never mind. That's not really conspiracy there, Craig. That's borderline fact. That's borderline fact. Chris says the same people blasting Watson and asking for Winston back seems to have forgotten Winston's little issue with the Uber driver. Yeah, what's that about, right? Like, did we forget about that one? Did we just forget about that conspiracy? Jason Brumfield says conspiracy in sports. Patrick Peterson blown INT call against Bama. Yeah. I mean, seemed as if, though, it would seem as if that Nick Saban was paying people off. There's a conspiracy. There's me. See, you know what I just did there? I gave an opinion with baseless and no facts. I gave an opinion. The court of public opinion doesn't mean anything. It really, really, really doesn't. When it comes to a criminal case, guys, you do realize very quickly, you do realize everybody's saying, like I had somebody today tell me so idiotically that, oh, well, Blake, I don't want Deshaun Watson to go to jail, but I want him to be convicted. You do know what can being convicted and going to jail is, right? You get convicted. If one of those stories is true about Deshaun Watson, he should go to jail. Nobody's debating that. But at some point we got to come to a line and draw it in the sand. Not even the sand. We have to pour that son of a gun over with concrete. And say when someone's found innocent, and don't give me the OJ thing, don't give me any other cases. I'm talking about what the real justice system is meant to be. Don't give me specific cases, because I could give you specific cases of people that were innocent that went to prison and that were actually not, people that were proven guilt or sentenced and they were not guilty, they were innocent and they went to prison. That both of those things can be true. When does actually something right happen and we complain about it? You know, I want to tell some of these media members, what if I made up a claim that said you punched me in the face, and when you punched me in the face, you broke your hand and you had to go to the hospital because my jaw is made of steel and I'm built like a Greek god. And I tell this to the police and I say, I want to press charges on this individual for punching me in the face. What if it did or did not happen? How do we know? But what if it comes out in court and the DA can't prove it? Innocent until proven guilty. This is America. Okay. Jake says, probably if I'm Wade, I probably try to pay people off to keep quiet also. Well, Jake, then you're also admitting to wanting to bribe people, buddy. And you can't get caught in the process. It's the wrong thing to do, but damn, we see what happens when you cooperate with NCAA investigations. Yeah, don't pay somebody off and you're going to keep your job. It's not that difficult. Tyler Cormier says, hashtag Ask Blake. Everybody do us a favor and hitting the like and share too. He says, hashtag Ask Blake. Do you think that Scott Wilbur goes after Buzz Williams? Wasn't he the one that hired Buzz at Texas A&M? He was. Buzz made a good run there made a very, very good run there in the SEC tournament. I don't know that. Now, you know, Tony Bennett's wife is from Baton Rouge. Scott Drew seems to want out of Baylor. I don't think him and Kim would work well together again, though. Guys, I have to be honest, and this coaching search will continue, and we'll continue down this coaching search for LSU men's basketball. I have to be honest, as of right now, I have not heard a word, like legitimately nothing. Everybody's saying that this coach, and this coach, I think is very preliminary in its infancy of what is actually true here. I have heard absolutely nothing. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Doesn't mean that it's not out there. But I'll just give my, what I'm hearing, and it's nothing at this moment. And, I'm not going to come out and tell you what, if I'm not going to make something up. But yeah. Al Landry says that Miss Benson is on YouTube. Miss Benson is one of the strongest Catholic women in New Orleans that cares deeply about the city and gave her blessing on the trade of Deshaun Watson. I trust her decision. Yeah, and they did an exclusive background check. Like, what's wild about that? I mean, I would be surprised if they've been doing 6 months worth of investigating if they were going to trade for Deshaun Watson. Now, look, if it comes to just football, yeah, you go after Deshaun Watson. Like, we haven't even gotten on the field yet. We haven't even gotten on the field yet. That's the wildest thing about all of this. It's the absolute wildest thing about all of this. Chuck, excuse me, on YouTube says, hashtag Ask Blake, I think Will did wrong, but decision should have been made in the beginning. The conferences should establish their own governance and tell the NCAA to kiss their ass. Now, Chuck, I don't disagree with that. Chuck, I think that you make a lot of sense there. I also think that I also think that it wouldn't be fair to other conferences, or it wouldn't be fair to some schools inside their own conference, because there obviously is going to be favoritism from the commissioner of that conference, of said conference, right? Like, I just don't, Mm, mm. Aunt Marshall says, I remember when Brian Kelly not doing a press conference was the biggest drama around LSU. God, that's so true. God, that's so true. Remember when everybody freaked out about Brian Kelly not doing a stupid press conference, and yet they were out there the whole time defending Will Wade? The Golden Boot Pod says, conspiracy in sports, Bama has more natties than teeth. My bad, that's fact. I really like this conspiracy in sports, man. Y'all give me a thumbs up if y'all liking it as well. Do y'all like this conspiracy in sports segment? Chuck says, if he is convicted, he can receive a suspended sentence. Mark Chambers says, it's time to move on, coach speak. Rob Boudreaux says, maybe Wade should do a press conference now. Lamar Williams says, like the girl lied on the UCAA football and went to jail, and he was innocent the whole time. That happens all the time, guys. Like, that legitimately happens a lot of times. Like, we could play devil's advocate on a lot of things. A lot of people like this conspiracy in sports segment. Okay. All right, cool. 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 I like that. Brandon says, let's read Blake. You killing it today. Thank you. When I posted that thing on Twitter earlier, y'all want me to read a DM I got? Hold on. This is from Jason Doherty, Dordy. Hey, just want to let you know, I just watched some of your segments and watched some of your clips here on Twitter. Not only do you look like an asshole, I can tell that you have no idea what you're talking about. Deshaun Watson did everything that was alleged, and I don't need proof to tell you that. Well, Jason, your mama used to want to take me out on a date, and I don't need proof to say otherwise. Your mama, as Eminem would say, your mama's on my lips. Cam says, I laughed when I saw someone say the Saints beat writers need to hold the team responsible if they trade for Deshaun Watson. Where was this responsibility in asking Sean about his wide receiver situation? Well, what's even crazier about when was it about about Sean Payton paying for Bountygate? When was it about Sean Payton taking Vicodin? I mean, if we're going to call a spade, hold people accountable. Hold D's. A lot of people I love this, man. I like this. Justin Turner says, take out the titles Bama claims in football, and they still have more titles than teeth. Y'all on one today. Y'all are on one on the Lord's Day. I tell you what. Mark Chambers says Wade doing a press conference now is likely giving him a shovel. Now you can dig your own grave. Yeah, the last thing that he needs to go out there and do is talk. That's the last thing that he needs to go out there and do. Nookie says Jason Doherty dusts his own crawfish. How are you going to put the seasoning on top of the meat? Pause. HRM Hermo says, I'm about 20 minutes behind watching the video, but Blake, you're right regarding Deshaun Watson. I don't know how many people we got on YouTube. Everybody hit that like button though. Everybody hit that like button. Oh, I gotta tell y'all something. I don't know what made me think about this, but I gotta give a shout out to our friends over at Manscaped. I mean, guys, you should hear about some of the messages I got yesterday. One from somebody talking about how they got the lawnmower 4.0. And they used the promo code AYS, and they said they bought it because they couldn't stop thinking about they couldn't stop laughing about the whole segment from yesterday. But I appreciate everybody that went out and bought something and used the AYS promo code. Just if you missed it, it's a 20% off and free shipping with the code AYS at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that promo code AYS. Look, there's so many things that you can do with Manscaped. There's so many different products. Guys, like I can use the nose trimmer today. It was a part of the whole performance package 4.0. It's so easy to use, so amazing to use. Get it over there today at manscaped.com. And my good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm, 985-395-4300. It's 985-395-4300 for all the great rates on home, auto, and life insurances. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right. But shout out to our guys over at Manscaped, man. Use that promo code AYS. Somebody just do me another favor. Somebody else go buy something, bro. Somebody go buy something. Daniel Williams, also with the Golden Boot Pod, says press conferences matter. Look at Daniel's profile picture, y'all. Look at that profile picture. They see me rolling. They hating. Chameleonaire looking head boy. What's up, Daniel? Daniel's a part of the Golden Boot Pod too. Him, Aunt M, Pooh Bear, and Chris. But Chris never comments on the show. I don't think Chris knows how to comment on the show, but we'll see. Chris English, that's not to me. Chance Babin says, when those boot up shirts gonna be on sale? Oh, bro. Is it boot up now? Can we say boot up anymore? Can we legitimately not say boot up anymore? Damn, dog. The whole hold that tiger can kind of pretty much went away. Now it's graduate champions, man. But we still have a song, Hold That Tiger. Ba, da, da. Hold that tiger. The Golden Boot Pod. I'm assuming Pooh Bear is running the Golden Boot Pod page today. But he says, conspiracy in sports, Seattle called a pass at the goal line because they wanted to make Russell Wilson the hero and not Marshawn Lynch. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a whole lot. Can't do it, man. Can't do it. Okay, I'm going to get to one more. Then we're going to talk some LSU football and recruiting, and then get to some LSU baseball the weekend, what we saw. I want to talk more about LSU baseball Monday, but we'll do a little bit today since it's fresh on our mind. So get in your questions. What did you think about LSU baseball? Put them in the comments below. What are some of your key takeaways from this weekend from LSU baseball? And what do you want to see going into Texas A&M week next week? Have any other questions? Put inside the Rudy Crew chat. Hashtag Ask Blake. But Trey Guy says, Blake, you are a great God. Appreciate the great content. With all the time you spend working on AYS, how do you find time for the restaurant? Do a beat down on that like button. I do not own the restaurant. I wish I did, though. I'd be fatter than what I already am. Be much fatter. Mark Chambers says a press conference now would do nothing more than put a bad light on LSU athletics. I completely agree. I mean, I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Completely agree. So that gonna be my new nickname. Is a Greek god. Hey, I guess we're not a basketball school no more. No, you know what? We're a women's basketball school now, right? Bro, y'all remember when when LSU was 15-0, when y'all tried to convince me we were a basketball school? Brandon Reese says the main question is who do you trust more to get you over the hump, Winston or Watson? I think it's good. I think it's a great point. Crab legs Watson. I like Jameis. I like Jameis. Guys, Jameis had 14 touchdowns and 3 picks last year. I mean, it's not like he was bad. It's not like he was bad at all. Justin Turner says boot up turn to pay out to boot up turned to pay up real quick. Very true. Very, very, very true. Very true. All right, let me get to some of the things we hear about LSU football recruiting. I know a lot of people know about Tyler Steen right now and know that he's on campus, but LSU still had a really big recruiting weekend. Was not able with some of the family stuff going on and yesterday's news with Will Wade. I really wasn't able to dig into it a lot yesterday. Was able to dig into it a little bit this morning. I'll do a little bit more tonight with that. I'll do a little bit more in reference to let's recap this weekend, but I'll tell you what I'm hearing so far. A lot of people talk about the crystal ball or whatever that people do. I'm not confident right now on putting anything on Tyler Steen. I have confidence that he could be leaning towards LSU. I think that it's more of a 50-50 type of situation. Let's see what happens with Alabama. I know that they have made a very strong push and told Tyler Steen that he's going to be a starter. That's what I've been told. Now, we'll see. Now, what's even more interesting is that there's a vibe around LSU that if Brian Kelly gets in front of any recruit, by the way, like if Brian Kelly gets in front of a recruit, it's over. Like legitimately over. One how do I want to phrase this because I don't want to completely use this context. One member of the program, and I could give a little bit of it, but basically said that Brian Kelly is the best closer he's ever been around. You're making a lot of headway with these juniors right now, about to be seniors. I think LSU is going to be fine. You got to make sure you lock the state down now. I think Frank Wilson, I think Cortez Hankton, I think Brian Polian, I think Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly can do that. But Brian Kelly is going to have a very much type of Nick Saban approach to all these things than Ed Orgeron. So with all that being said, I think we'll start getting some recruiting news here within the next couple of weeks. Maybe even starting as early as this week. Maybe. But I think they're going to start getting some kids to commit. And that's huge, man. That's huge. Blake, I thought Brian Kelly couldn't recruit. Notre Dame's a prestigious program. Being a blue blood dog don't mean shit. It don't. It really does. It does to some extent. Like it does, and I get it. But it really, when it comes to wins and losses in recruiting in these days, it really doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. LSU wasn't a traditional blue blood, and it would be hard-pressed for you to tell me that they're not a top 5 program when it comes to recruiting. Hell, it'd be hard for you to debate that they're not a top 3 program. when it comes to recruiting and the talent in this state. You lock the state down and you go nationally and you get 5 to 7 to 10 guys, you're going to kick somebody. You're going to kick a lot of a rear end. I think it's got to be surprising for Brian Kelly too. Like we talk about, just the nature of the beast. I'm hearing that he's calling some of the parents of the recruits he just signed, talking about he didn't realize how good and athletic he was, this kid was, because he didn't have a lot of time to meet with him and watch film of him. And that's okay, and they understand that. They understand that. I'm hearing from guys that on the offensive side of the building, when they're talking about guys like Emory Jones, they're not only are they shocked that they didn't even see that he was like a higher profile recruit than what he was, but they think that he's one of the best, if not the best, in the entire state. Like Brian Kelly thinks that, not just the assistants that have been out there recruiting. Like, good googly moogly. What kids did I really just bring in here? Craig Dugat. Oh, Craig, good to see you, buddy. Craig was the one that tried to convince me that we were a basketball school. Craigie. He says, we're not a basketball school anymore, boys. To the end of a glorious era, Will Wade, the living legend. No, Will Wade, the extortionist. Will Wade, the liar. Let's call him what he is. Will Wade's probably a good guy, man. He's probably a good guy. But like the story I told yesterday, and if I was breaking up yesterday and you couldn't hear it, I'll tell it again. And if you were in Twitter Spaces, you heard the whole story, and you heard other people. And I'm not going to mention their name until they're. If they want to say that they were with me when it happens, then so be it. But saw Will Wade about 6 months ago, and he was the most arrogant son of a gun that I think I'd ever been around. I like Will Wade a lot. And there were some media members that were with me. Let's see here. Chuck says better. All right, so on this baseball thing, and we can talk baseball. I was going to talk more Monday. Huge sweep. I mean, look, you struggle Friday. You have to move the game up 6 hours. Maybe it caught the guys a little off guard. They came out sloppy. They battled back. They won. Yesterday, guys, I got to be honest, other than just monitoring the game, I was not able to watch a lot of it. And so, for that, for family reasons, I apologize. I mean, I don't really apologize. You get what I'm saying. I really wasn't able to watch it, so you're going to have to give me more about what happened yesterday. But regardless, I had a good showing. Today, they absolutely just overloaded Bethune-Cookman. If LSU starts hitting the ball the other way and they start hitting doubles and they take what the pitcher's giving them and they just spray the ball all over the yard, they're going to be very hard to beat. They're about to see better pitching. And we'll see. SEC play starts this week. Got a big game against Tulane on Tuesday. Daniel sends 2 laughing face emojis. They see me rolling. They hating, patrolling, and trying to catch me riding dirty. Tell me Daniel don't look like Chameleonaire in this picture. The Golden Boot Pod. Tell me he don't look like Chameleonaire. Craig Schilling says, conspiracy in sports. The administration told the LSU band they couldn't play neck anymore because Jason Doherty's DM'd them saying that the song was stupid. Jason Doherty, I know you're listening, boy. Boy, you getting ripped alive on this one. Boy, you got to love it. You got to love it. Nookie says Jason Doherty works for Spectrum. Dog. Oh. Sam Bacon says that Scott Woodward's at Hooters with Underwood. Damn. Craig Dugas says we have bass fishing school now. Pull up, boys. Damn, Craig. Whoo. Damn, Craig. Oh. Georgia is hiring Mike White as their next head coach. Oh. I'm just trying to find it. Yep. Damn. Wow. Wow. Absolutely wow. Did not see that one coming. Georgia is hiring Florida's Mike White as their next head coach, sources confirmed to ESPN. How about that? Whoo-wee. Thank you, Ann. I appreciate that. Tigers Avenue podcast, who also went on their show a couple weeks ago, they said 15 strikeouts between Hilliard and Razelman yesterday. Yesterday or today? Because Hilliard pitched today. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's huge. Nookie says John Rolstein's reported too. Damn, man, that's crazy. That's wild, man. That's just wild. Did not see that coming. Jake Nola says he does look like Chameleonaire. You should get a grill, fade up, and we could call you Ball. Damn, dog. Aunt Marshall says Kramer Robertson's for men's basketball head coach. Damn, that's interesting there. That's interesting. Dylan says that he's hopeful that Blake Money comes back soon. I think that's the biggest news. I think that's the biggest news. With that alone, I mean, look, if you don't have your Friday night guy, now maybe you can get away with it with Texas A&M this upcoming weekend. But I mean, he had a little cast on. So yeah, I don't know how bad that is at all. But Jay Johnson said it could be only a couple of days. So I don't. So yeah, Blaine Smith says Steen is not coming. Blaine, you also told me we weren't going after a transfer quarterback. Chuck says hashtag ask Blake. I would like to see the team stop taking every first pitch. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I could see that a lot. Tigers Avenue says I meant my bad. I meant Floyd. Yeah. There you go. Chance does say Mike Floyd could never get out of Billy Donovan's shadow at UF. I agree with you there. I completely 100% agree with you there. That's crazy. That's crazy. I did not see that coming. Well, then what does that mean for Scott Drew? Is Scott Drew not entertaining leaving Baylor? I got to say this. I was told during the let me say this about Scott Drew, and well, maybe I'll leave that one alone. No, I'm not going to leave it alone. I was told that a big thing about Kim Mulkey leaving Baylor was that they wouldn't name the court after her. They were wanting to name it after Scott Drew. Like they pretty much came out and said, forget Kim Mulkey. Scott Drew won a national title. We're going to give it to him after everything Kim Mulkey had done. Like that, guys, that's messed up, bro. That's messed up. TA says, I'm sure Woodward is closer to a hire than we think he is. Very possible. But then again, I could see that he doesn't have one. I could see easily that he doesn't have one. You know what I mean? Like what? I don't know if he's ever been faced with something like this. I mean, how do you go through something like this? How do you go through something like this? I don't know. I'll be honest. Like I said earlier, I have not heard anything. I mean, other than rumors, like just blatant rumors, I've heard nothing, y'all. I've asked and I've asked and I've asked and I've asked. But I mean, if you're Kim Mulkey, that would really suck if Scott Drew came here after all of this. Now, I don't know. I don't know. It's just wild. It's just wild. Yeah, I'm getting some more hate on this Deshaun Watson thing. It's okay. It's okay. Look, guys, and I might be wrong. Look, let me say this too. Let me say this. I'm going to need to clip this up and put it up here. I'm going to be wrong a lot. I'm going to be right a lot, but I'm going to be wrong a lot too. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't think that I am. I hope that you would genuinely like that, even though I might be wrong, that I'm just going to come out here and give you what I feel and what I think. I'm going to be wrong, going to be right. But, but what I will always do is when it comes to sourcing, when it comes to news, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm not going to run out here with an opinion. Guys, sourcing and news and stuff, that's not opinion. That's what you're hearing. Like, you're reporting news. My opinions will be like what we just talked about. Haters are going to hate, says Chris English. You're right about that. You're right about that. Josh Forbes says, no, Woodward has it. They've known about this Judgment Day for a while. Maybe. Yeah, I saw this earlier. Trey Guy says, I don't think Blake Adonis Ruffino is wrong on much. I try not to be. I like the new nickname Adonis. Let me take a picture of this and send it to my wife. Say, people call me Adonis. You better be glad you got you a Greek god sculpted and perfect in the perfect image of Zeus, who's got guns like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who can hit, who can take a hit like Rocky Balboa, who's got a jab like Muhammad Ali, and and the voice of Conor McGregor. I like to take a lot of people get on me. I like to take the time to apologize to absolutely nobody. The champ does what he wants. The LSU podcast champ does whatever the hell he wants. Give me that belt. Man, that looks good. Man, that looks good. Nookie says on YouTube, I keep the expectations really low for the quality of the next basketball coach. Would be great to pleasantly be surprised. The threat of sanctions just has to impact who is willing. I have to agree with that. Nookie, I could feel that. But at least we know that Scott Woodward's going to go out there and get everything he's got. Like, this isn't a Joe Oliva, let's hire Orgeron. I hate to say it like that, but you know what I mean? Like, he's going to do a thorough process. Like, he's going to do everything he can to get somebody here that's worth a damn. Chris English says, how much is Blake paying Trey Guy? Probably Ryan or probably Drake Williams. No, I'm not going to say that. A lot of monies. Wade McBride says Woodward has to find someone who will gel with Mulkey. That's interesting. I like Tony Bennett, to be honest, but people aren't going to like the way he coaches basketball and the way his teams play. At all. All right. Been over an hour. Philip says LSU not getting a head coach to duplicate Will Wade's success. He is recruiting an elite level. Next year, your team was going to be stacked with new and existing players. LSU going to be back to basement, in my opinion. I don't agree with that. Jason Brumfield says all of this shows how bad Joe Oliva was at his job. Yeah, he was trash water. Rob Boudreaux says, go see what John Brady's up to. Maybe we'll bring John Brady on the show. Mark Chambers says, please hire a coach that has more fire than Coach O. God, that's a lot of fire. I mean, that man would have to be red hot Cheeto hot. I mean, Coach O had fire, bro. He had fire. All right, guys, we'll talk to y'all soon. We're going to go on that here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll be guesting up tomorrow. I don't know who's going to be on, though, but we're going to be guessing up and have a good time. Until then, guys, y'all have a good night. Peace out, you Girl Scouts. They roll.